can't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, today's video, we're going to be talking about Legion of X number 10 by Cy Spurrier and Netho Diaz. This one is kind of a tough one to talk about because there's a lot of stuff that has been going on in Legion of X since the last time I did a video for it, which was, I think Judgment Day was still going on or was in the stages of ending. That was the last time I had talked about Legion of X, and a lot of the reason why I haven't done anything, video-wise for Legion of X is it wasn't so much that there wasn't anything good going on, but there was also the matter of having so much stuff to talk about with it, and then also at the same time having so many other videos that I was trying to do and just being busy. And a lot of people think that I have people who edit videos for me. I don't. It's pretty much just me. Anytime you see a video, no one else did it for me, at least not in a long while. But that said, I had some extra time and I decided with everything that just happened in this week's offering of X comics, I figured why not talk a little bit about what's been going on in Legion of X. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not going to cover everything that happened in all the previous issues, from issues number 7 up to this week's issue number 10. I'm only really gonna focus in this video about one specific thing. And I'm not here to talk about why Nightcrawler has horns all of a sudden or why Archangel is acting like a whole bird of prey. No, that's not what I'm here to talk about. The real thing we're here to talk about is how Cy Spurrier just set up the mutants' downfall as well as the destruction of Krakoa in the series and why Orchis is not to be slept on. Now, since Legion of X number 1, Cy Spurrier introduced us to the notion that Orchis had been experimenting on and exploring within the astral plane, using it as a means to send Nimrod into the midst of the Technarchs and kill their leader, who just so happens to be Warlock's father, Magus. This was expounded upon even further in Sabretooth and the Exiles number 3 just this past week, showing how they had secret facilities inside of the astral plane housing all manner of untold secrets. Not only had Orchis's Nimrod infiltrated the astral plane, proving that synthetics could exist in dream space, but so too were the Technarchs themselves. Right now, all manner of synthetic creatures are starting to realize the astral plane is the new frontier, and most important among them are the Phalanx, the true masters of the Technarchs. When originally it was thought that the Technarchs were the masters and the Phalanx were the slaves, over time, especially since House of X, it's been revealed that it's quite the other way around. And right now, the astral plane is prime pickings for their assimilation goals, and now they aim to claim it. And when Nimrod destroyed Warlock's father, Magus, that ended up resulting in Magus's essence being spread through the astral plane in a form of astral blooms and spores across the dreamscape. These spores would eventually attract the attention of the Phalanx, as these spores tended to act as the eyes and ears of the Phalanx as a whole. And this would lead to them building what Warlock referred to as a Babel Spire, sending a clarion call to all Technarchs to consume everything within the idea space, basically meaning the end of every mutant as we know it, who has been using the altar space of the astral plane that Legion had created for all of Krakoa to use. And spoiler alert, that's pretty much every mutant. Now, to make matters worse, not only is a giant astral Phalanx already trying to consume Krakoa, but Nimrod has used this opportunity to infect Warlock as if he were himself a computer virus, riding the wave of the spores of Magus and finding his way into Warlock's systems when Warlock entered the astral plane himself. And because Cypher had Warlock integrate itself into Krakoa's vegetation in Powers of 10 number 4 back in 2019, that means not only does Nimrod have complete control of Warlock, but also he has complete control of Krakoa itself, possibly explaining why Krakoa has been doing so many strange things as of late. If you go over to the Wolverine side of things, we recently saw how Krakoa had started taking on more of a darker tone. Granted, a lot of that seemed to have been attributed to the influence of Sabretooth when he was placed within the pit, but what if Nimrod might have been the one who put those things in motion? To make matters worse, Nimrod is using Krakoa itself to create techno-organic sentinels to waylay the island, while the Phalanx consumes a large portion of the mutant population in the end of this series, turning most of the mutants on the island into Phalanx husk, basically making them little more than hive-minded techno-organic zombies. And considering everything that's been going on as of late with Moira, her becoming a cyborg, and then during 10 Deaths of Wolverine we learned that she's going to become one with the Phalanx, and now that she's working with Orchis, it seems that they've helped unleash the Phalanx on all mutant kind. It seems like there's too many things moving in the same direction for any of this to be considered a coincidence. And what makes all of this even more dire is that Xavier, in an act that will surely earn him the worst Father of the Century award, takes an invitation from Blindfold to actually spend time with his son Legion as a threat, believing Legion is still out of control and dangerous and willing to kill him. And he psychically neuters Legion, leaving the astral plane defenseless just long enough that it takes the combined might of both Xavier, Blindfold, and Legion to put everything Xavier's actions caused to break down in the astral plane back together again. This is actually how the Phalanx were able to run roughshod over all of the mutants on the island just about. And not only did it take that, it also took the Legion of X working in tandem with Mother Righteous's new and improved Banshee, who is now merged with the Spirit of Variance. And for those who don't know what that is, the Spirit of Variance is basically a mutant version of the Spirit of Vengeance. And when I say mutant, I don't mean mutant in the same way that the X-Men are mutants. I mean mutant in the same way I've talked about multiple times in the past, where characters like Brew, who is one of the Brood, is considered a mutant. Same as how characters like Warlock, who is a Technarch, he is considered a mutant. And the reason why they're considered mutants is not because they have X genes, but they're considered mutants because they're not like the rest of their species. Where we often like to use the term that no one race is a monolith, no one group of people are a monolith, that is actually a case where it is true when it comes to species like the Technarchs and the Brood. They are a monolith. They all act the same. Characters like Brew and Warlock, they don't. And that is what makes them mutants, hence why the Spirit of Variance is a mutant among the Spirits of Vengeance. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and say right now, I spent way more time talking about that than I initially intended, but I figured someone would be like, what the hell is a Spirit of Variance? And then, you know, there's that. One or two people who will probably ask, what the hell was that?
And if you don't know, now you know, nigga.
But yes, Banshee and the Spirit of Variance have become one Vox Ignis, which by my estimation roughly translates to the voice of fire, or the fiery voice, or something along those lines. I didn't take Latin, but I have played The Witcher a couple of times. But yes, the Legion of X are teaming up with the Spirit of Variance inside of Banshee to take down Orchis's techno-organic sentinels and their control of Warlock, but it's actually the character of Forget-Me-Not, who is the one who sacrifices everything to undo the control that Nimrod has over the island. You see, Warlock has a control node buried in his chest, which is how Nimrod is able to control him, thus have a connection to the island. And if you're not familiar with the character Forget-Me-Not, he is a mutant whose power manifests itself in such a way that no one remembers him when they're not looking at him. So basically, every time he encounters someone, he's encountering them for the first time, at least for them, to the point that it's revealed that Marinette, one of the more recent mutants that was introduced during Cy Spurrier's Way of X, Forget-Me-Not and Marinette have been going out on dates, yet every time she has met him since Legion of X #1, she never remembers him. None of the teammates remember him. They always ask, who are you? Why are you here? And even though Forge had created earpieces that would help them circumvent Forget-Me-Not's powers, just like earbuds in the real world, they have a hard time staying in when you're doing a lot of moving around. Seems like a gross oversight on Forge's part, but, you know, hey, I understand. I can't keep earbuds in my ears for the life of me. But Forget-Me-Not sacrifices himself and is obliterated by the Sentinels when he rips the control node from Warlock's chest. What makes it so heartbreaking is that because of the fact that the earpieces have been falling out of everyone's ears, no one even notices that Forget-Me-Not is dead, meaning we probably won't see him come back for at least a little while. No one remembers him, so why would they think that he was dead? They don't know who he is. They even say towards the end of this book that it's a great thing that no one died, as we look upon the skull of Forget-Me-Not after he's been disintegrated. Now, Forget-Me-Not's not the only casualty here. Warlock died as a result of Forget-Me-Not removing the control node. Now, this was unavoidable because Nimrod had integrated himself so intricately into Warlock, there was no way you were going to be able to remove his influence without destroying Warlock as well. Now, this is a huge deal because now that Warlock is dead, this has left Cypher in a tailspin, and what I mean by that is that he's almost borderline catatonic after he realizes that his best friend is gone. Not to mention they're soulbound to each other, so the fact that Warlock is dead, it not just emotionally and physically hurt Cypher, but I would believe even from a spiritual standpoint, Cypher is broken. And the idea is that Warlock has been completely obliterated, but it is posited towards the end of this book that there is the possibility of bringing him back, that maybe a part of him is still out there somewhere in the astral plane, no differently than how Magus had parts of him still spread across the astral plane despite Nimrod obliterating him. Either way, this is a lot bigger than people I think are understanding, because at the end of this book, we see Nimrod having a conversation with Command, and Command is very likely either some higher function of Nimrod or I would say just Director Devo, but I feel like if it was Director Devo, it just would have said Director Devo, but either way, whoever was calling the shots in this operation, Nimrod is reporting back to, and what he reveals is that while he has integrated himself into Krakoa, but has ultimately failed to completely take over the island, this cyber warfare that he's been orchestrating was not without its merits. Yeah, sure, he lost control of the island, but here's the thing Nimrod gained that Orchis didn't have before. Ever since House of X #1, it was revealed that the Krakoan gates that the mutants use to get around now, only mutants can use them, and the only times that humans can use them is if they have some piece or part of a mutant either covering their body, like we saw in the case of 10 Deaths of Wolverine, where Moira had skinned Banshee alive and put his flesh over her own so that she could walk through the Krakoan gate, or in the cases we saw of Jeff Bannister's daughter in the Wolverine series, she's been using one of Deadpool's severed fingers as a Krakoan key to allow her to get through, and we've also seen instances where if a human is holding hands with a mutant as they walk through the gate, they can get through that way. Now, Orchis no longer needs that. Nimrod has now taken control of all the Krakoan gateways. Now, it's not specifically said if he's taking control of every last single one, because we do know there are some gates that lead to places that even Krakoa doesn't know about, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say that Nimrod was in there long enough that he now knows how to access the gateways. He can basically leave all the doors open to Krakoa for Orchis to just enter and run roughshod through everything. If he wants to. He can probably control where gates pop up now. That's one of those things that if he can still somehow influence Krakoa in any way, this is bad news for Krakoa. And as we know, the Fall of X is coming very, very soon. We know that Krakoa is not long for this earth, and we have always known since the beginning that Nimrod was going to be the one who was ultimately the reason behind the downfall of everything that Charles Xavier, Magneto, and Moira X had originally built. This isn't news, and I've seen some people online upset about it, like, oh my god, why is Nimrod gotta come along? It's like, thing is, this is something that was in the works for a while. Nothing ever lasts forever. You just gotta get over it. I'm sorry, it just is what it is, but this is the next logical step. We have known for well over a year that whatever the next major story arc for the X-Men was going to be the Fall of X. Apparently, Nimrod is going to be the maestro there. But anyways, that's everything I want to talk about with Legion of X, at least in this video. I will be doing another video here very soon about the reveal of the final cinematic sinister clone, so stay tuned for that. And while I'm mentioning that, so you can ensure that you don't miss it, make sure you do the YouTube thing, make sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that way you don't miss out on any videos that I put out. Also, make sure to like and share because that really helps the channel out, and we're really trying to hit 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube in 2023. So if you're already subscribed, that's a really good way to help spread this channel to other people on YouTube so that we can grow Earth's mightiest subscribers beyond plus ultra. And if you're not subscribed already, well, do that. Anyways, let me know what you thought about Legion of X number 10 and the implications of Nimrod taking over the Krakoan gates. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.